After a while, life becomes totally random, unpredictable, and the anatomy of mystery starts out with the unprediction of something, goes into the necessity to control it, goes into the non-control of it, and winds up as a mystery. A mystery starts with unprediction, and setting up of a machine is then the start of a mystery. And so we have the body a huge mystery, because the collective intelligences which built it gradually lost all of its functions and set them up to run forever. So they became random as far as the intelligences running them were concerned. All right, Thetan, exteriorized, wants amusement for some reason or other. He sets up a machine. You're going to exteriorize the Thetan, this kind of thing's going to happen. You say, be in the moon, be in the sun, be in Earth. You say, just a minute. You say, what's the matter? I don't know, there's something wrong here. When I think of some place, I arrive there. That's funny. He says, I don't go there, I think of this place, and then bing, I'm there. He said, only it's not the place that I thought of. You know, something wrong here. I think of the moon, I go to the sun. Well, in the first place, he's got a sending machine. He set up some kind of a machine to act as an exterior intelligence to himself, to send himself places. It's real cute. It'll cause an auditor more trouble if he doesn't know what it is. He'll be exteriorized, and he'll get absolutely haggard. He'll think of Paris, and he'll be in Paris. He'll think of South Africa, and he'll be in South Africa. And he'll think of North Pole, and he'll be at the North Pole. And this will just go on. He feels like the end of a crack-the-whip team. Well, this is the result of automaticity. He's made a machine that sends him places. Now, the way he makes this machine, he makes the consideration, puts some mass to it to give himself some conviction that it exists, then he hides it and forgets about it. The consideration which made it, he hides it, he forgets about it, and that is the 1, 2, 3 step of making a machine. The consideration, what the machine is supposed to do, and then hiding it, and then forgetting that he has hidden it. Always with the fact that it is going to be operative upon him. Do you ever run into somebody who's afraid of invalidating himself? You know, all I do is invalidate myself. I say I'm getting along fine, then all of a sudden I say, well, I'm doing horribly. Invalidation is primarily an energy manifestation. It's being zapped in the thought line, and people get afraid of thinking, finally, because they're so afraid of being hit. He's actually set up a machine for himself, which zaps him under certain conditions. He goes out here someplace, and all of a sudden, zzz. Well, if you're working over on machinery, regaining control of machinery, and something like this is happening, you find out he himself has set up the handiest little machine you ever saw. But when you get on just a certain angle of the machine, you get zapped. He zaps himself. That, of course, added interest into life. He never knew when he was going to be zapped, did he? Well, now that's how silly a Thetan will get with setting up these machines. And then having forgotten it and having hidden it, you as an auditor are expected to come along and by some necromancy banish it. Now, how do you banish a machine? You just mock one up, have him do the same thing. Anything the pre-clear is being affected by, have him do it. Now, why? Anytime the pre-clear is on the E end of the cause-distance effect line, you simply have him do the function which puts him on the C end of the cause-distance effect line. How simple. So you could take over all this machinery. You would have him do it. That is, you could actually have him perform the action himself just many times, and the machinery would disconnect, wear out, and go to pieces. It would break up. Or you could have him copy machinery. Now, you're having him do again the action of making machines, aren't you? So you just have him copy machines. This person's being sent in various places, and he's being sent all over the place. You could say to this individual, just this pattern, all right, mock up a machine that sends you all over places. Now, mock up another machine that sends you all over the place. Mock up another machine. You do this 4 or 5 times, and all of a sudden this huge thing like a comptometer suddenly shows up over in that direction. And he says, what is that? And the more times he copies it, the brighter it gets, and then all of a sudden it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and finally vanishes. Only all this time, all you were telling him was mock up a machine to send you places. Mock up another machine that'll send you places. Mock up another machine that'll send you places. See, he's just copy, 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 and it short-circuits the big machine that's sitting out there, so much so that it runs out its own postulates of hiding and so forth. Now you could tell him, mock up a machine that'll send you places, now hide it, now forget about it. This would be a perfect way to do it. Mock up another machine which would send you places, now hide it, now forget about it. Mock up another machine which will send you places, now hide it, now forget about it. Another machine which will send you places, and all of a sudden he'll see this machine over there. You could do it several ways. You could have him simply send himself places enough times, and it would start to key out this machinery. In other words, this is not a hard problem for the auditor to solve. Just make the pre-clear do whatever he's up against. Or make him make a mock-up to do whatever he's up against. Either way, and you'll have it. Make him make a mock-up, or make him do it. Make him make a mock-up to do it, or have him do it himself. But whichever one you choose, have him do that then many times. Now, I've had Thetans show up with machinery which they invented in the days of the early Roman Empire, which consisted of wooden wheels and cogs, little glass balls or pebbles which dropped into certain buckets and which made things weigh in other directions and so forth. Interesting, huh? I processed a Thetan that had a machine which was a couple of boulders which were so teeter-tottered that they would fall over and hit him. That's an invalidation machine. In other words, this was a Stone Age creation. I've had him show up with an 1890 player piano as his musical machine. Also, I've had him show up with a former civilization, streamlined, handy, Jim-dandy device that is supposed to blow up cities, all streamlined with photoelectric cells and all compact and everything else. In other words, he made up this machine when he was in that environment. In all times and all places, wherever Thetan has been, whatever he has done, he has had a tendency to copy the environment in which he was working. So, when you start running out machinery, be prepared to find anything. And the rule to run out machinery is to have the pre-clear do what the pre-clear is doing. Have him do, in full knowingness that he is doing it, what he is doing obsessively and without knowledge that he is doing it. Make him recover the knowledge that he is doing it, and the manifestation will vanish. And that is how you get rid of machinery, and that's really all there is to machinery. But machinery can exist that will do anything you and I could think of here if we just sat here the rest of the day and did nothing but dream up objects and things machines could do to Thetans. One of the things that a Thetan has as a machine, just to give you an idea, they have an executing machine. Quite often, and sometimes bodies into which Thetans have moved into have executing machines, which are sometimes made up like guillotines, only they're electronic guillotines. And in a dental operation and in an operational shop, these things will sometimes trigger. What are they? They're an enormous ball of energy, or an axe, or something of the sort, hanging above the person's head. And under a certain amount of stress, when the Thetan himself is in so much trouble that he can't knock off the body and escape, this machine is supposed to knock off the body and let him escape. Or it has been set up by the GE or some earlier Thetan, and is still effective upon your pre-clear. And he's inside this body which has an execution machine. And he went under anesthetic and he did all right, and then all of a sudden there was this tremendous explosion. And the whole front of his face went numb, and it's been numb ever since. He went into an execution machine, didn't he? How would you handle it? Have him mock up execution machines. That's all. Have him mock up the same machine. Over and over and over, making it tougher and tougher each time, until all of a sudden he recognizes he can do it. At that time, the machine no longer has any effect upon him. A Thetan can only be affected by those things which he does not believe he himself can do anymore. When a person cannot do something, he can then be affected by somebody else doing it. Very strongly affected. Well, an execution machine, sometimes fellows had an operation, he's gone along for a week afterwards, and then all of a sudden this execution machine is triggered. Post-operative shock is one of these machines going on. So this is a valuable thing to know about machinery. But you get somebody exteriorized and he's doing something peculiar, you merely have him do it, or have him mock up something that does it complete. And also, if you have him mock it up, have him hide it and forget it. And have him do it many times, and the whole machine disentangles. Do you destroy every machine which you find the Thetan in possession of? No, you certainly better not. Destroy only those which are totally out of his control, and then fix him up so after that he is capable of making machinery which really works. And the last step in it is have him mock up machines, hide them, and forget about them, which really work.